Hi guys, whew, at 4 a.m. we're gonna talk about Frankenstein. Yeah, Frankenstein. So, authored by Mary Shelley, Frankenstein is a gothic novel with a storyline that is simply unforgettable. Revolving around Victor Frankenstein, the novel seeks to examine how knowledge can be used for purposes of doing well or furthering evil in society. The novel's theme centers on the social and cultural aspect of society during Shelley's lifetime. And Frankenstein revolutionized the genre's Gothic literature, science fiction, and horror stories, and elevated the status of the Romantic artist. And also, I actually enjoy this book because Frankenstein does an excellent job of creating an entertaining story. And also because as the first documented science fiction novel, while the story is one of an horror and as a result of the monster gruesome killing spree, it has many overarching themes and plenty of moral dilemmas. In 1794, in the Arctic Sea, Captain Robert Walton is a man obsessed to reach the North Pole, pushing his crew to exhaustion. When a ship hits an iceberg, it is stranding in the ice. Out of the blue, Captain Walton and his men overhear a dreadful cry and they see a stranger coming to the ship. The stranger actually introducing himself as Victor Frankenstein. So Victor Frankenstein tells to the captain the story of his life since he was a little boy in Geneva. So by everything that he said, we can see that he's a brilliant student, and after that, Victor moved to, I don't know how to pronounce this, but like in Gallstadt, in Gallstadt to study at university. And then at university, he met new people like Henry, his best friend, and also Professor Waldman. He got close to Professor Waldman and decided to create life to cheat death. But Professor Waldman literally told him, do not try this experiment because the results are going to be seen as an abomination. But he didn't listen. So however, he realizes that, so when Professor Waldman dies, he stole Professor Waldman's notes and tries to create life. He succeeds and gives life to a strong creature composed of parts of deceased persons. And however, he realizes that his experiment is a mistake, and he abandoned the creature expecting that it will die alone. But unfortunately, the creature survived and learned how to read and write. And then because he's a monster, he's rejected by everybody. And then so, unfortunately for Victor, the creature decides to seek revenge from Victor by killing everybody he loves. And the reason why I actually enjoyed the book is because of three things. I enjoyed this book because of the setting, because of the theme. In this book, there's actually so many themes, but I really enjoyed the theme of fate because I actually believe in fate. And then lastly, because of the role of women in this book. So I'm gonna start with the setting. Yeah, I'm gonna start with the setting. So, for me, according to me, the aim of Shelley's novel is to scare the readers, and then the setting in this novel is often used to achieve this aim. So, Mary Shelley is using the setting to create fear in the readers, and then this is really apparent in chapter 5 when Frankenstein is giving the creature to life. Sorry. So he's saying here, it was on the dreary nights of November that I beheld the accomplishment of my toils. With an anxiety that almost amounted to agony, collected the instrument of life around me, that I might infuse a spark of being into the lifeless thing that lay at my feet. It was already 1 in the morning. The rain powdered this against the pane. In this little paragraph, she's saying, I'm not gonna say Mary Shelley, but Frankenstein is saying in this one, he begins by saying that he was on the dreary nights of November. So at night, we already know that night is actually scary. Night is scary. And then November, it's winter. Everything bad that happens is actually in winter. And then he's also saying that it was already 1 in the morning. We already know that in the winter, at 1, it's actually so dark outside. So when she's saying at night, at winter, and at 1 in the morning, you're already scared. When you see this book, you actually don't want to read it. But when you actually like horror stuff, you're scared. You wanna read more. And then she uses weather to create a sense of fear in the reader's mind. So she also uses the literary device called pathetic fallacy, which is where we give human characteristic to weather. So the bad weather foreshadows the upcoming bad event that is going to happen later in the novel. And in fact, she uses the word dismally. And then the word dismally is actually from the Latin word diasmally, which means evil days. So by describing the weather as evil, it creates suspense and tension in the reader's mind. Moving on, one of the major themes in the novel is the idea of fate. And then earlier I said I was in the people who believed in fate, and us people who believed in fate believed that the events of our lives are predetermined and set, and there's nothing that can be done to avoid that. So actually Victor says this quote. He's saying, "My fate is nearly fulfilled. Nothing can alter my destiny. Listen to my history, and then you will perceive how irrevocably it is determined." Like from this quote, he's actually saying that like everything that happened like is because of fate, because like it's his destiny. It was made to happen like this. And if you actually don't believe this, like you can see some evidence like in his childhood, because from this quote that I'm going to say right now, he says, "Curiosity, earnest research to learn the hidden laws of nature, gladness again to rapture as unfolded to me are among the earliest sensation I can remember." So he's saying that like when he was younger, like even if when he wasn't able to make his own choices, he was already like he was so curious about finding hidden laws of nature, finding stuff about like natures. So he was already like it was already fated that he was gonna be like a scientist. Like moving on to the role of women, my favorite. Like I need a sip of juice before talking about this one. Like, okay, so the role of women in this novel. Like Mary Shelley talks about like how women like are perceived during that time, and women couldn't testify in the courts, and they couldn't like do certain jobs and whatever. And then there are numbers of key quotation worth exploring in the novel in relation to treatment of women. And to begin, there's a quote that proves that how Frankenstein's fathers treated his wife. So he said. This quote says like he strove to shelter her as a fair exotic he is sheltered to by the gardener from every wrath of wind, and to surround her with all that could tend to excite pleasurable emotion in her soft and benevolent mind. So this quotation suggests that women are like pets, and it certainly doesn't suggest equality. There's also the idea that women are objects of pleasure to their husbands. And then like I said earlier, society at that time proposed that women were incapable of rational thoughts. But this is clearly disapproved in this novel, and this is actually my favorite part. Like, I'm so happy when I'm talking about this. Because, like, in chapter 8, at Justin's trials, like, we all know that she's innocent, and then when she actually had that speech. And then Shelley has deliberately written a fantastic speech here. So listen to the speech. He says, "I commit my cause to the justice of my judges. Yet I see no room for hope, and I beg permission to have a few witnesses examined concerning my character. And if my testimony shall not overweight my supposed guilt, I must be condemned, although I would pledge my salvation on my innocence." Like, remember, women were not, like, could not testify in courts, but, like, she actually talked about with such intelligence and intellect and eloquence. Like this was like a fantastic speech right there. So Shelley is actually showing how intelligent and articulate women could be. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap it up because if I want to talk about everything, we're not gonna finish. So to sum up, I think this novel is an undisputed fictional masterpiece because of its strong evolving themes and plenty of moral dilemmas. The setting makes the book more interesting for the audience, and the message that Shelley wanted to share with us about women, about the image of women, is well explained. And then, my friend, if someone asks me, "Did you read Frankenstein?" and then, "Should I read it? Is it a good book?" I'll say totally yes, and I'll totally recommend this book because it was actually good. I have nothing else to add. Peace and good night.